I see. Hey there, Cosmic. I did see your hello. Unfortunately, I did not quite open the pop-out window in time, so it won't show up in chat, but I did see it. Hi, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you saying hi. May have been the latter. I don't know. It's definitely possible. I usually wear a cap, but yeah, I don't often. It just kind of depends. Yeah. Let me actually. Speaking of, eh, just one is fine. Turn my fan on low. So because I have my monitors right here, it gets really hot from the heat from the monitors. So I don't have but I have my furnace on, so it's not too cold in the far end of my place. So I have this kind of balance I have to reach. All right, let me pull this up. So we are most of the way through the third episode of this game, Tiny Bunny. So if you've not been following, or if you're not familiar with the game, then you might get lost. But obviously, you're welcome to keep watching. I've been well. I've been well, just staying busy. Over the holiday, over the Christmas New Year's holiday, I visited my brother and sister-in-law. So my brother and his wife. It was about 10 days. That was really good. That was we had fun. We watched some shows and stuff. Started watching a show on Netflix called Jongseong Creature. It's Korean horror set in World War II. So it's when the Japanese had control of Korea at the time. So it's interesting. It's pretty fun. Um, Obviously, based on games, I'm big with horror. So, um, what else did I do recently? Um, Not a whole lot. I caught up on some shows. I don't watch a lot of shows, but I have a couple I watch. I caught up on those. I'm so from Halloween. I started playing a game called Dreams in the Witch House, which is based on a H.P. Lovecraft story, and I've got this book, H.P. Lovecraft. So I'm most of the way done reading that. I have six, yeah, 5.5 pages left to read, and then I finished that short story. And then when I play the game, I can see I did start it a little bit, but it's only a couple of hours. On Halloween, I started it. So when I finish this, then when I do end up continuing that game, I can see how closely it does or does not follow the short story. So far, a lot of the things are exactly correct. Like his name is Walter Gilman, the main character's name. He's in Arkham or goes to Muscatonic University, all that kind of stuff, or Miskatonic. So yeah. You can send it to me in Discord if you want, but yeah, yeah, he was an interesting fellow. I don't know if you ever saw the game I did one point. There's one I did called Dagon. It was more of a not even a walking simulator. It was more basically just retelling the story, the Dagon story that Lovecraft did, but it did it with like computer generated scenes. So it was graphical as you followed along. And it wasn't the full story, it took like the most descriptive parts of the actual journey he took out to the sea and stuff in the land that had all the like the creepy and forsaken and everything stuff. Anyway, and there were a lot of little, if you look for little symbols on each screen, elder signs. If you click on those, then it'll give you a factoid about H.P. Lovecraft's life or his views or the story itself, things like that. It was pretty fun. There's that, and then there are a couple of DLCs for that as well. And the DLCs, one of them was when he was, I think, 10, something like that in age. The first story he ever wrote. So it's not really horror, a little bit, but not really. It's mostly like a pirate treasure hunt kind of a thing. And then the next one we did was a horror. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying it was okay, but to be fair, in that time, the clan, you know what I'm talking about, the triple letter clan, um, was at its height. You'd think after the American Civil War or something, it would have its major growth. No, it grew like it got to its biggest size at about 1920. There were, I think, like 13 million or some ridiculous number of members in the United States at the time. It's like so ridiculous. Like, really, there was that much racism, but apparently there was. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's okay what he did, but I do think it is not super surprising given the time when he was around and writing and everything. Could be. Could be, but the fact that he has that in some of his stories, and he has other disparaging comments in some of his stories about particular groups of people. It's hard. It's hard to know to what extent, if any. I mean, I'll grant that it's possible there was none, and it was all just meant to push boundaries. It's possible, but let's even with that, okay, except for none, it's hard to know to what extent that type of prejudice would have gone. Right? We don't know how much he was or wasn't. It could have been just he fell in line with the ideas of people generally around him and didn't think much of it, or it could be that he actually had a lot of emotion behind it and was really committed to being that way. It's hard to say, right? I don't think he was over the top committed to that because his stuff would have been like more about the differences in race and the this group is really evil and we're going to show them in all their corruption and darkness, and there's a little bit of that in terms of like maybe they dabbled in some of the things you know in Africa, they might say, or something, right? But like the actual monsters themselves would be from those areas, right? If he was really full on. So I feel like it was more he was a product of his environment. Again, not excusable, but he was more of a product of his environment rather than actually seeking out being cruel to people and whatever, right? That's just my personal feeling. I tend to. There are some people you obviously for obviously whom it is malicious, but I tend to generally attribute what people say and how people act toward lack of awareness or not thinking things through more than actually being malicious and vicious toward people. Obviously, that's not always true. But I'm just saying, as a general rule, most people I think are not actually vicious. Now, they might be selfish, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily cruel at heart. They just are selfish and act on their selfishness, maybe. Anyway, it obviously varies from person to person. So, okay, well, I've given now about almost, not quite, but almost 15 minutes for people to get on. So I think we're about ready to start going through this again. I think by looking at his face, he likely saw the popularity of it and the heavy reactions the word included in literature took advantage of people. Yeah, that definitely could be true. Yeah, it could be like, well, if this is the way the world works, then so be it. That's if you're on the playground and everybody is mocking some poor little kid, do you join in the mockery, or do you avoid it and just don't even touch it, or do you defend the kid? Right? There's 3 different positions basically, or there's 4, or you could go tell like a teacher on it, right? So you could join in the mockery, you could just ignore it and keep away and hope that nobody ever comes over to you. You could join in the mockery, or you could defend the kid, or you could tell on the people who are mocking them, right? So there are kind of 4 things you could do in that situation, right? They're varying levels of bad behavior or good behavior depending on what choice you make, right? So being somebody who says, well, this is how people are jerks, so I'm going to take advantage of that to profit financially, I still am not sure that that's not really being a jerk. You're just not as big of a jerk. So I don't know. But I try not to judge people, right? I'm just saying I don't know like what was going on with him and his attitude and stuff. So anyway. Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. That's the whole yeah, I guess that's true too. You could try to distract from him and point all attention to you. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if that's really. It's obviously a possibility. I don't know if that's very realistic in the specific situation of like an 8-year-old or something on a playground. Most of the time, if they see that this other kid's getting mocked, they're going to be scared. Well, what if they turn to me and mock me? And so then most children at least would probably not consider, well, maybe I could turn this to my advantage and become really popular or something. Probably a lot of them would be just like, well, I'll just be a sheep and follow, right? Anyway. All right. Well, anyway. So this, I don't know if you know anything about this, but like I said, if you've not really been following along, this might be confusing. I can try to give you a really high level explanation if you would like one, but there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the course of the now nearly 3 episodes. And so there'll be some things that I won't be able to explain or that I could explain, but it would take a lot longer. So I give you like a really high level. And then if something gets mentioned later and you don't understand it, I can always then tell you, oh, that was this and this thing. Well, just let me know. Okay. Elisa put her hands to her sides in a theatrical manner and somehow managed to wink with her fox face.
Когда в следующий раз придем, будем звенеть в колокольчики, чтобы ты не так боялся нашего визита.
The next time we come, we'll ring bells for you. That way you'll be less scared of our visit.
А у нас разве есть колокольчики?
Do we have any bells?
Чур, я звенеть не буду.
I won't be ringing.
У меня лапка болит.
My paw hurts. My smile was no longer fake.
О, зубы показал. Это добрый знак.
Ah, you showed us your teeth. That's a good sign.
Не ожидала, что сможем тебя рассмешить.
I didn't expect you to find us fun.
Я думала, это под силу только Диснейленду.
I thought it was a motion reserved strictly to Disneyland.
Откуда ты знаешь?
How did you know that?
Да так, прочитала кое-где.
I read about it somewhere. Something along those lines. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff going on at school, okay? Like there are bullies and there's like a girl that he likes and stuff like that at school, okay? But there's the disappearances of several children. 3 children now that we have for sure in Detective's folder that we saw. Okay. And in the woods, in the forest here that's near the village also. So basically you have the village, you have the forest, and then traveling on a path through the forest. This boy, our boy, travels through the forest on this path to his house that's on the other side of the forest. So he has to go through the forest to get to school and the village, or through the forest to get to his house, whichever way. In the forest are where the children seem to have disappeared. And there are some dark things in the forest, like shadows, and people think they hear things and they see shadows and things, right? Also, though, so the boy we're playing, his name is Anton, okay? He thought really early on, he looked out the window and he thought he saw animals dancing, like in some kind of a, cult ritual, something or other, dance or whatever, out in the moonlight, like some wild dance. And then they stopped, and it seemed like they noticed him. And he tried to hide, and they all like rushed to his house and stuff, made scary sounds and stuff. Anyway, so from that point on, he's been a little worried about the animals in the forest. Like, are these the things that got the kids? They freak me out. I'm just really scared of them and stuff, right? Well, one morning he goes to school by himself, because it's like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., something like that. He goes to school by himself. So through the forest, despite the fact that it was really scary, he made it through. Despite the fact that he was really scared, he made it through. Once he got to the village, he met this girl here, Elisa. He's only ever seen her wearing this fox mask, but she's got a girl-ish. I mean, there's kind of the weird, strained effect, like a distortion or something in the back of her voice, right? But basically a girl. She's always worn this mask, but he's pretty sure it's a girl. You can see eyeballs here. Cannot see eyeballs on these others, so who knows? But you can see her eyeballs here. Anyway, and she's acted like a really big friend to Anton. Now the reason is, we learned this last week actually, these animals, she's talking with these animals who are like her friends, other animals out from the forest. Notice how they all have like these things as if they're masks, like these little ribbons, like they would tie behind their head or something, right? Anyway, she said, so these guys are all animals, right? So last week she said, talking to to her friends here, she said, see, I told you he would make a good bunny, a tiny little bunny for us. So it's called Tiny Bunny. So Anton, our character, is being adopted by these animal mask people, creatures, whatever, as another animal, their tiny bunny. So they're an owl, a fox, a wolf, a bear, and so on. We apparently are a bunny. We're not wearing a mask, but Elisa is convinced that we would make a great bunny rabbit. So that's what we're doing. We also earlier, there was a scene with some bullies. I'm not really going to get into that much, but there was a mask that we had that was a bunny mask. That I think Elisa gave us the mask, if I remember right. I think so. Anyway, so that's kind of why it's called Tiny Bunny, and how all this works into things. Yeah. So this is interesting. So this is it's potentially a lot to follow. Like Faux Fox has said, because she was not following every week, and I think she missed the very beginning of it and stuff. She said she's confused where things are and stuff. This is going to be one of those that I'm going to have to break into pieces and then upload as a series, and then she can piecemeal, like, watch an episode, or watch a video, I should say, a shorter video that I've uploaded, and then kind of digest that, figure out make sure she understands what's going on up to that point. Then she watches the next one, digest that. She'll have to do it a little piecemeal at a time, I think, to get it. That's okay. It's fairly complicated. There are a lot of things here that even I don't fully understand, although I think for that it's probably more likely because we haven't gotten enough revealed in the game. But anyway, since I've been playing the whole time. I know all the stuff that we've been given all throughout, so I know all the connections and stuff. Anyway, okay. So he had said, how do you know about Disneyland? And so she goes, I read about it somewhere.
Про меня?
You read about me.
Про клюв от воробья. Про Диснейленд, Яхонтовый.
Aren't you funny? No. About Disneyland, darling.
Ты умеешь читать по-человечески?
You can read human.
Зря я, что ли, в школу хожу день ото дня.
Do you think I've been going to school every day for nothing? And then she sang in a coquettish voice. Yeah, she says, at least, that she's been attending school. I'm not sure I fully buy it, but it's possible. I think Elisa is one of two things. Either she's actually an animal, which I think the other three are, but she masquerades as a human. Like maybe she could change her shape or something. So she attends school during the day and learns stuff that way. Or she's a human who wears the mask, pretends to be an animal like her buddies who actually are animals. And because they think she's an animal as well, they get along with her. And because she's a human and Anton is a human, she's trying to, bridge that gap and bring Anton in as her playmate, part of the animal group. I'm not totally sure, obviously. Yeah, I did. I think it has a strap that goes up this way, and then like a little thing that holds it on the back top of her head, like it's a hat or something. Yeah, she's a fox. Yep, exactly. There's a lot of really, really interesting. Well, the fact that it was called Tiny Bunny, right? And why does she keep going after him, being playful with him, right? She kind of taunts him and teases him some and everything, right? Kind of like a predator does with its prey. Except she's not exactly preying on him, but she is playing around with him. So it's interesting, yeah. So then she suddenly sang in a coquettish voice.
Как детей не замечать, как мечты их развенчать. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе. Крепко-накрепко вломить, с детства слабеньких чморить. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе.
That was awesome. Hang on. Oh, I guess I can. I let out a cautious laugh. Okay, let me do this really fast. I'm going to save here. We're going to redo the song, but I'm going to mute the voices. And I'll just read it just so we have the English lyrics.
У нас
Черт,
О, неожиданно. Я?
Откуда
Да так,
про меня?
про клюв.
ты умеешь
Зря я, что ли, в школу.
Let me. Settings. Can I voice? I think that should be good. Okay, let's do this now.
Как детей не замечать, как
Nope.
мечты их развенчать.
Nope.
Учат в школе,
No.
учат в школе, учат в школе. Крепко-накрепко вломить, с детства.
Nope. Apparently it's not gonna let me. I'm just gonna mute everything. Give me a second. Okay. I have to mute all of it. So we'll do this back. No, I have to do all these down, don't I? Okay. About 1/3 and about 3/4. Okay. Where to learn about neglect. Where to get your dreams all wrecked. At your local school, of course, and in your classroom. Where to hit kids every week. Where to prey on all the meek. At your local school, of course, and in your classroom. That's bleak. I let out a cautious laugh. Okay, let's turn them back on now. Oh, this was 1/3, 3/4, all the way. Okay. My new acquaintances didn't seem scary anymore. On the contrary, they looked friendly and welcoming. There was something about them that attracted me. Just like this clearing, this moon, and the snowflakes that fell backwards from the ground to the sky as if someone was rewinding a tape. The masked kids got close, and I felt their touch. They gave me friendly taps, felt my clothes, as if checking whether I was real. There's no animalistic malice in their touch, only pure childish curiosity. For some reason, I thought to myself, I can trust them. Snowflakes just kept on floating upwards.
Никто тебя больше не обидит.
Nobody will hurt you anymore.
Друг,
Friend?
пусть только попробуют.
Yeah, if somebody even tries to. The fox gave me a slight tug and burst out
Ну
laughing.
что, Тоша, убежишь с воплями или с нами пойдешь?
Well then, Tosha, will you run away screaming or come with us?
Куда?
Where to?
На аттракционы!
To the amusement park. At that moment, Tasia's deceptive silence was broken by the sound of a distant flute. Mesmerizing and alluring, it brought about the ring of crystal glass and the whispers of a fresh winter spring. If I had any doubts before, the flute's song shattered the last of them. I started following my new friends before I could even make my decision. That does not sound good. And you see the thing at the end move off to the side. The shadow in the woods just kind of shift to the side. Somebody was watching him, not just the ones that were there in front of him. My legs carried me of their own will, and the tunnels made of pines stepped apart. Bushes bowed in front of our procession. Everything looked dreamlike. Because even the clearing we ended up on, I only saw in my dream. The flute soared up in the treetops like some fantastical bird. The snowflakes floated up in a spiral. The moon painted tree branches with silver. Elisa gasped in amazement. I was also in awe. I tilted my head backwards as far as I could.
О, красиво как.
Ooh, what a sight!
Очень красиво.
It is so beautiful. Wolfie howled in agreement.
Это мелочи.
This is nothing.
Я покажу гораздо больше,
I can show you much more
если захочешь.
if you want. I did want. I wanted to see what the fox girl saw with her eyes, hidden in the semi-dark of her cape. Now, I didn't feel weird about these masked kids. I felt weird for being the only one without a mask. I felt like I was naked in the January winds.
Скажите, а зачем вам маски?
Why do you wear these masks? I was trembling, but I wasn't scared. I think it was like cold or something. Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't caused by the cold. My trembling wasn't caused by the cold. It originated from the peculiar anxiousness, the anticipation of something amazing.
А тебе зачем?
And why do you ask? I touched my cold
Но я
cheek.
без маски.
I'm not wearing one.
Обожаю человеческие сказки.
I love human tales.
Человеческие ласки.
Human nails.
Человеческие дрязги.
Human feels.
Я же говорила,
I've already told you.
все жители поселка носят маски.
All the villagers wear masks.
Только скрываются за ними отнюдь не люди.
It's just you won't find anything human underneath them.
И даже я?
Even me.
Ты такой рассеянный, Антон.
You're so clumsy, Anton.
Однажды мы уже нашли твои очки.
We've already found your glasses once already.
И шапку.
And your hat.
И твое настоящее лицо.
And your real face. Yeah, see, there's the bunny rabbit mask. He had that earlier. I think, I can't remember now. I think Elisa tried to give it to him, but if it wasn't Elisa, then it was the bullies. I think it was Elisa though. It's been a while now. It's been like Probably 3 or 4 weeks, so I can't remember for sure now. I looked at the mask the fox was holding out to me. The bunny mask that looked like a silver ingot under the moonlight. I was curious to see the world through its slits. Russia. I believe this is a Russian developer. I don't know if they're still in Russia given what's going on in the world. They may or may not be. But I believe the developer is from Russia originally, at least. Yeah. The language that they're speaking is Russian. And then I am translating, of course, or not translating, but reading the translation in English afterward in kind of the voices they're using. Obviously, they're not the same, but... So I was curious to see the world through its slits. Sometimes there are choices, like do this or do this. Sometimes there are not. Like in this case, the only option is to take the mask. Anywhere else I go, I cannot avoid it, right? So, and that's okay. Some people don't like it when there's a choice shown, like it looks like it's a choice, but it's not actually. But I think this is done well in this game because when you hover over, like it's just like anything. Like I was about to, or I reached for the door, knowing there was danger on the other side. Then you have to actually click the door to open it. It's not really any different than that. So. Suddenly, fighting its way through the flute's melody, a thought came to me. The glasses they found were in Semyon's possession. Yes, Semyon was one of our character's former bullies, but he's gone missing now. He's the latest kid that's gone missing. So they found because Semyon was a bully, he fought. So our character's name is Anton, okay? So Semyon was a bully, so he fought Anton and knocked Anton's glasses in the ground, or in the snow. And then, before he took off running away, he grabbed our glasses and ran them away into the forest. And then, I think it was the next night, he was upstairs in his room. No, I think it was the same night. Way later in the night, he was upstairs in his room and he heard something outside. He heard and thought he saw the shadow of an owl. Maybe this one, not totally sure, but saw an owl shadow outside his window. And it knocked with its beak as if it wanted to come in, but eventually gave up and it flew away. And then Anton, our character, finally opened the window after the owl had gone, and we found our glasses sitting on the windowsill. So Semyon, the bully, took our glasses, disappeared. Then we found our glasses on the windowsill after the owl left. The next day we found out that Semyon had vanished. Nobody knew where Semyon had gone. And he's the latest missing kid. So that's why this is significant here. So I'll read it again. Suddenly, fighting its way through the flute's melody, a thought came to me. The glasses they found were in Semyon's possession. My new acquaintances must have known what happened to him. Or even worse.
А куда подевался Семен? Что с ним стало?
And where did Semyon disappear to? What happened to him?
И с остальными детьми.
And the other children? The bear and the owl looked at each other. Interesting, the expressions. Do you see how the expressions are different? Here, it's like the owl is almost like ashamed or something. And here, the bear could be one of two things. Either the bear is kind of like, I don't really want to talk about it. But it could also be that the bear is stifling a laugh a little bit. It's hard to tell. I think it's the first one. I think it's like the bear doesn't want to talk about it either. The wolf boy curled into a ball, and the fox lowered the pointy nose of her mask. This is starting to make me wonder if perhaps there are two factions of animals. There maybe are the animals that want to be friends with Anton, and there may be the animals that actually do bad things to the children that disappear. I don't know. Interesting.
Тот, кого держали в клетке.
The one who was kept in a cage.
Тот, кто режет мелко-мелко.
The one who cuts into pieces.
Тот, кто носит кожаное лицо, забрал их.
The one who wears a skin face took them.
Умел бы я креститься, перекрестился бы.
If I knew how to cross myself, I'd do it. And when he says cross himself, I think he's talking about the Catholic cross. So, like, God bless these missing children. So it seems like these guys, unless they're lying, again, foxes are cunning. Maybe she taught the other animals how to be cunning too or something. But unless they're being deceptive, it appears like these animals actually are worried for the children and don't like the fact that the children have been disappearing. Yeah, the predators, the prey, and this is what I'm saying, right? It's like, I know what's happened in the story so far, at least what I've read, but it's hard to know what's going on exactly because it's like keeps the sense of tension and mystery, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and so it gets really involved, really in depth. So,
Хотите сказать, это был человек?
so you're saying it was a human?
Чем ты только слушал?
Were you even listening to us?
Разве можно назвать такого, как он, человеком?
How can you call someone like him human?
Одно слово, взрослый.
There's just one word for him. An adult. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how replayable this will be. I personally think I personally could see myself replaying this a few times to see what happens when you make some different decisions. But I think some people might go, well, I've had the story and I'm done. And you lose a degree of the mystery aspect if you've already played and so know what the mystery is, right? Oh, see, you're watching this now in one of the lighter moments. There have been several pretty dark moments already in the story. So, I mean, I do think this is coming to something even darker than we've already seen, but we've had some decently dark moments for sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's right. And Russian, even though Russia is Europe, Russia, at least overall, seems to have been considerably immune to a lot of the sensibility shifts that have happened in Western Europe, right? Where a lot of in Western Europe, they're like, well, if these people have been, othered, right? Like made to feel like they're different than everybody, they're oppressed or they're whatever it may be. Okay, if this group has been considerably kind of downtrodden over the years, we're going to make special provisions to treat them better and maybe try to even things out and and whatever, right? In Russia, that has not gone very far. It may be a little bit, but most of the time in Russia, they really don't worry about that stuff. So this could stay just as dark as some of the traditional European tales have been. Yep. Fear and Hunger 1. You should link that to me in Slack. Or not Slack. Slack is my work DM. Send me that in Discord. Just the name, and I'll look it up and look into it. Because if it's worth playing, it's worth playing, right? I definitely am open to play stuff. Okay, so there's just one word for him: an adult.
В мире взрослых так легко потеряться.
It's so easy to get lost in the adult world.
Убийцы, жестокие дрессировщики и равнодушные родители.
Killers, cruel animal trainers, and cold, parents.
Лучше об этом вовсе не думать, чтобы не грустить.
If you don't want to get sad, better not to think about things.
Не знаю, как вам, а мне печалиться совсем не хочется.
I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be sad.
И я сегодня какой-то негрустный.
Somehow, I'm also not sad today.
Антон, а ты?
What about you, Anton?
Huh?
Huh? I was lost in thought, staring at the pines, trying to pinpoint the location of the flute. I was sure that the person who played it was standing right behind the pine stockade. Someone tall, going over the holes in the flute with their long fingers.
Так что, сядем тосковать или займемся отдыхом?
What now? Are we gonna sit and be
Алиса
sad,
хотела
or
что-то
have some fun?
показать.
Alisa wanted to show me something.
Давай начнем с самой сладкой части программы.
Let's start with the sweet stuff. Hey, Fun Act, welcome. Yeah, she does blink. So she has real eyes and eyelids. The question is, though, because a fox has eyelids, too. I don't know about every single one, but the not counting insects or something, right? But I would say the vast majority, maybe not all again, of animals that are not under the water for a good part of their life, like the vast majority of them that are out of the water, mammals, lizards, birds, have some kind of eyelids. Because the eye needs to be lubricated for it to work properly. So animals that are under the water, they're always getting lubrication. They don't need eyelids because they're always lubricated. But mammals, birds, lizards, they have air dries their eyeballs out, right? So they need eyelids to put fresh lubrication on the eye so it keeps working properly. If you look, let me just look, for example, here really fast. Yeah. Now for a bird, I think it goes from inside out, usually. But there's some kind of a membrane. It's basically the same thing as an eyelid. A membrane that goes over the eyelids, right? Or goes over the eyes. So that they can wet the eye so they can continue to see. Right? So, okay, no, you're just pointing out detail. No, that's not a problem. I'm just kind of explaining though that, yeah. So even animals like this, that's why the thing here, like she blinks, these you can't see their eyes, so you can't tell if they blink, right? But realistically, every animal would blink that's above ground. Okay, so Elisa says, let's start with the sweet stuff. The fox girl took out a handful of candy from her pocket and handed them to each of the kids. Covers shuffled. The smell of pineapple, cocoa, and melon wafted through the air. She shoves it in his mouth. That's cute. The last read, a chocolate-covered waffle candy. Alisa put it right into my mouth. My tongue was engulfed in spiciness. I felt like my body was covered in fur and small sparks were running along it. Huh. Yeah, that's, I think, my first look into that was when I was a kid. We would go fishing sometimes with my dad. And I was always like, why do fish not have eyelids? And then my dad said, oh, they don't need it. They're underwater, so their eyes are wet. And I was like, okay, but do all animals have eyelids? And I think my dad said yes. But anyway, at some point, even though he said yes, I read about it specifically to learn the details. And like I said, they're not always the same direction. Like bird eyes very often go to the side from the inside toward the out, but they do have some kind of membrane that lubricates the eyeball. That's right. I chewed on the waffle and the chocolate, gulped them down, enjoying the vivid taste.
Спасибо.
Thanks. And he put on the bunny mask. My gratitude was barely audible because my lips were already touching the insides of a mask. I didn't even notice how I put it against my face. The papier-mâché was warm. The mask stuck to my skin, giving it a nice prickle. The kind when you dive into a hot bath after being outside in winter, when you lie there and purr from the soapy water.
Говорила же, это твое!
See, I told you, this is yours.
Мое.
Mine.
Чего стоим? За нас веселиться никто не будет.
What are we waiting for? The fun won't have itself. The melody kept swirling in the field like a hurricane. Wait, did I miss something? It looked like he was going to say something and then... Hang on. Nope, I didn't miss anything. Okay. The melody kept swirling in the field like a hurricane. I couldn't wait to release the energy, the heat that this enchanting music was filling me with. The owl jumped and disappeared into the sky. I heard her laughter from somewhere above, and then she landed back, huffing and sighing.
И ты так можешь. Попробуй.
You can do it too! Give it a try! I followed suit. My feet tore off from the ground. Oh. Wait until it stops crying. Okay. My feet tore off from the ground. I flew towards the stars like a rocket and screamed from happiness after seeing my friends down below. The wind helped me fly. It felt like I was jumping on a huge trampoline. The stars looked like vivid sparkles that I could reach and lick up. The moon also got closer, and then I plunged. I got scared that I'd break my legs for a moment, but my soles landed softly on the ground, and I regained my
С
balance.
нами ты в безопасности.
You're safe with us,
И все твои мечты станут явью.
and all your dreams will come true.
Я так счастлива наконец обрести тебя.
I'm so happy that I finally found you.
Зайчик.
Bunny. In a fit of merry laughter, I realized the most important things. These four are not a threat. My real enemies, and I felt that with every single hair on my mask, were those who knew nothing about magic. Humans from the village. I also realized how alive my surrounding had become. I heard the dry grass under the snow moan. I saw faces of the trees and the stars. The trees were smirking and the stars were grimacing in fear. That's right! Be scared! I'll jump up to you and... I snapped my teeth, then let out a jubilant laugh, jumping up along with the fox. We flew higher than the tallest pines and stayed in the air. I swirled. Elisa followed my rhythm. I knew that she was smiling, so I smiled too. And the flute just kept on playing, carrying us higher and higher.
Ты чё, опять в облаках витаешь?
Hey, got your head in the clouds again. Not with you around, I thought, trying to unglue my chin from the desk. My muscles felt slightly sore, but that feeling was pleasant. The whole class was wandering about for some reason, whispering and passing notes to each other. Their faces looked like discolored masks to me, bleak, boring. I yawned, remembering the time I was soaring high above the forest with Elisa by my side, laughing and squeezing my hand. Probably, it was all just a dream. Because I didn't walk back from the forest, just woke up in my bed on a normal morning with tea and medicine. Still, I was hardly worried about trying to find a rational explanation for my night dance. That feeling of flight was much more important. The knowledge of how it feels to be hanging in the air above the treetops of majestic pines and baring my teeth at the moon.
Ну чего?
What do you want?
Чё-чё? Пока ты носом клевал, Катька пропала.
What do I want? While you were here nodding off, Katya went missing. Yeah, there was a bratty girl named Katya here. She would always make fun of us and stuff, but she's missing now. That's not awesome. I think this is her right here. We didn't see the sign before, but this one right here, right basically where the T15 rating, suggested rating I have on the stream, right behind that paper there, that's hers. My sleepiness was gone in an instant. I frowned in suspicion.
Как пропала? Быть не может.
What do you mean? It can't be. Attention, child missing. Katya Smirnova, 12 years old. Katya Smirnova, 12 years old, grade 6B, was last seen during the day on January 16 at the schoolyard. Identifying features: 155 centimeters tall, green eyes, light brown hair, lean build. She was dressed in a fur-hooded coat, a knitted hat with a pom-pom, a white scarf, and gloves. Special identifying features: wears a strawberry-themed scrunchie. If anybody has information on Katya's whereabouts, call the following numbers. Damn, that sucks. True Detective 3 examined all the objects in episode 3. Okay, so now we're on episode 4. That I just read about, examining all the objects, that was a Steam achievement. Okay, so this is the last episode that is currently made, but there is an episode 5 being written right now. So when we finish this, if unless episode 5 is done before then, when we finish this episode, we'll be done for now with Tiny Bunny, but we will not be done with Tiny Bunny altogether because there will be another episode coming. I heard that there's supposed to be an episode 5 and an episode 6, but I've only confirmed episode 5 from the developers. So I don't know if there's a 6 or not. Yeah, Koch is missing as well, yeah. Now, here's the thing. The pattern of kids missing is a little uncertain to me. First of all, the first girl who went missing, long before the story started, okay? Well, not long before, but I think it was like, what did they say? 2 months, I think? So basically, our character, Anton, and his family moved to their house out on the other side of the woods just maybe a week, if that, before school started. The first girl, and I don't remember her name, but the first girl disappeared about 6 weeks before that. So she went missing. And then the week that Anton and his family were there waiting to, preparing for him to go to school, the first boy, Vova, went missing. And then we go into the school year a little bit, and there's the whole fight with the bullies, and Semyon flees with Anton's glasses. The next day, Semyon is missing. And now it's been I think it's been a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember exactly the timeline, something like that. And during that time, Katya was in class, and she would mock Anton occasionally and whatever else. She was kind of a snot, a little bit of a brat, but she was always in class, and now she's gone missing. Yeah. See, this is the thing. This is what I'm saying, Fun Act, is like you could say, oh, well, misbehaving or naughty or bad children are the ones who go missing, except for 2 things. One, yeah, Semyon and Katya both are gone, so they're like naughty or not nice children. But Roma and Biasha are still there. They're both bullies. So why would it take Katya before Roma or Biasha? Because they seem like, especially Roma, seems like the bigger threat. So Semyon and Katya were taken, but Biasha and Roma are still around. That somewhat conflicts that. But also, Volva from the beginning, if I remember right, they said he was a quiet but a nice boy. And the girl before that was like not a loner, but she was kind of a nice girl too, was my understanding. So 2 nice kids, 2 bad kids. So it's not nice versus bad. It's not belonging to a specific clique or something at school, because Semyon was part of the bullies, but the others were not. It's not being a certain social status, because I think Semyon was kind of a poor kid before he joined the bullies, but also Katya is a higher social status. But Vova was a poor kid. So I'm not sure what the pattern is for the kidnapping or the killing or whatever it is of the children. I'm not sure. Sugar and Spice, but the bully boys are super cringe. Not everything nice. Sometimes it's not always nice. That's right. Anyway, you know what I mean? So like, for what is the pattern of the disappearances? I haven't figured that out yet. I mean, I think it's clear. Well, let me say it this way. I think there's a really good chance that more than anything else, it's when kids are on their own. But I'm not completely sure if that's always true, because we don't know about the first girl. We also don't know if Katya was alone when she disappeared, or if she like maybe went home and was with her family or something. And also, it's for sure not just being alone in the forest, I don't think. Because Katya was in the village itself. She was not in the forest. She didn't have to go to the forest. Her family lived in the nice part of the village. So, unless she randomly wandered out to the forest to go see something, which we have no information to corroborate that. So, I feel like that's not a part of the pattern either. So, I'm not sure what's causing it. It could just be some, I mean, supposedly, according to the animals, it's a human that's doing it. So it could just be that there's a human doing it, that the human just gets in a mood for doing whatever it is the person's doing. They find the kid, they grab the kid. They don't really have a pattern for type of kid. They just want to exercise power over them or something, and so they grab the kid. I don't know. It's hard to say, but there's not a clear pattern. Because it's also not outsiders, right? For as big of a brat as Katya was, Katya had some friends that who were also snobs that she hung around with. Semyon had the bullies that he hung around with. Despite what happened when he, finally kind of fled and like basically stopped being part of the bullies that one day, he still, as far as anybody knew, except for that one specific incident, he was part of the bullies. So he was part of a group. Katya was part of a group. Volva was not. And I think that first girl was not. So I'm not really sure if I see a clear pattern here of what's going on. Okay. Episode 4. Stomp your hooves in wait. Biasha joined us at the table, gnawing anxiously on his lower lip.
Тосик, ты почти в этом сраном лесу живет.
Toshik, you're almost living in that forest.
Вчера ничего странного не видел на.
Have you seen anything strange yesterday, eh? I replied with a complete lie.
Нет.
Nuh-uh.
Я тоже.
Me neither.
Повезло, что классуха моим родакам нажаловалась из-за оценок.
I got lucky that the homeroom teacher complained to my folks about my grades.
Вот меня и не выпустили вечером на репетицию.
So they didn't let me out for our rehearsal.
А то на месте Катьки оказались бы мы.
If they did, we'd be in Katya's shoes now. Biasha scratched at his Adam's apple.
Это, я что сказать хотел на.
So, here's the thing, eh?
Я кое-что слышал.
I heard something.
Этим утром я, как обычно, в школу шел. Вдруг слышу плач за деревьями. Девчатей. Сечетина.
I was going to school this morning, as usual, and then I heard a shrill cry coming from behind the trees. A girl's voice. See what I mean, eh?
Ну, я про Катьку-то не знал тогда. Да и знал бы, стрёмно оно, братки.
I didn't know about Katya then, But even if I did, it would still been scary, guys.
Утро у нас не лучше ночи. Темно, как в зопе.
Mornings here are as bad as nights. It's so dark you can't see a thing.
Вдруг это Катька была, а?
What if it was Katya?
А главное, вместе таком паршивом в буреломе, что неподалеку от кладбища.
And it was in the worst possible place, eh? Among the windfall, near the cemetery.
Хорош пургу гнать.
Bullcrap!
Да зуб даю на! Сам слышал!
I swear, eh? I heard it with my own ears.
А вы уверены, что Катя действительно пропала?
Are you sure Katya really went missing?
Вон, Лилия Павловна, Катькина матушка, даже на работу не пришла.
Look, even her mom, Lilia Pavlovna, didn't show up for work today.
Слетела контрольная на!
The test is off, eh? Oh yeah, her mom, Lilia Pavlovna, is the teacher of this class as well. So Katya was extra snotty because mommy is taking care of me in this class kind of a thing. Anyway.
Как пить дать, пацаны, это Катька в тайге стонала.
I'm telling you guys, it was Katya, moaning in the taiga.
А значит, и до нее маньячела добрался.
The serial killer got her too. Oh, good. I'm glad it's inspiring. Hopefully it'll help you out with where you figure you want to go with your stories and stuff. I remembered Katya. She was both beautiful and mean. The first girl in our class with a maturing body to the envy of all the other girls. Yeah, but that wouldn't really be the motive, right? Because he also killed 2 boys and a girl that was not even close to maturing, so... The main source of gossip. Snake. And a... Biasha started counting with his fingers. Yeah, he does.
Сенечка, Вова, Семен, Катя. 4 человека на.
That's right, the first girl's name was Sinetya. Sinetya, Vova, Semyon, Katya. 4 people, eh? Roma slammed his hands on the desk.
Так, пацаны, отныне смотреть в оба.
All right, guys. From now on, we always keep our guard up.
Далеко друг от друга не отходим, как в дурацких ужастиках.
Don't split off from the group like in those stupid horror movies.
На остальных мне плевать, но вас я в обиду не дам.
I don't care about the rest, but you two are under my protection.
Как и Полинку.
And Paulina too. I hope your relationship works out. I'd already forgotten that I was ever into Paulina. The only girl occupying my thoughts after last night was Alisa. The boys went to the cafeteria and I was left alone, scribbling in my notebook, drawing rows of pines and 2 small figures, flying between the treetops in the full moon. All right, have a good night, Cosmic. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. It was fun having you on. Talk to you next time. Take it easy, man. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. That's right. That's right. Thanks, man. See ya. Shivers ran up to my shoulders, sneaking playfully under the hem of my shirt. Even though soaring through the sky felt so simple, there was still something evil weighing me down. Was it the stolen signet ring? Or the heavy look those missing kids from the notice board were giving me? The culprit was definitely still in the village. They were hiding something horrible under a mask of piousness.
Рисуешь?
What are you drawing? Embarrassed, I covered the notebook as if there were something shameful about the figures above
Да
the
ничего,
forest.
так, дурака валяю.
Nothing really. Just fooling around. Paulina put her elbows on the desk. Yeah, that'd be cool, huh? I feel like it's going to be somewhere in between. Kind of like, what is that? I'm trying to think. Hang on. I can't remember now. There's some story, like I think it was a movie I saw where things generally, like there was a kid and the kid was generally dealing with reality, but also had kind of some mythical stuff going on. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It already has, honestly. There was something mythical going on that the kid like had gotten associated with the kid, but the kid mostly was dealing with real life stuff. And at some point, the kid was put in serious danger, like the kid maybe was going to die, and the mythical stuff saved the kid. So like even though nobody seemed to even know that the mythical stuff was real except for the kid was actually saved by it in the end, and the bad, like I think it was like a criminal, maybe a murderer, I don't remember, but a criminal or something that was really going to do bad to the kid was completely stopped by the mythical thing. Oh, and there's another one too. And this isn't the one I was thinking of. The one I was thinking of was like an adult that was the danger. But there's also Let the Right One In. Although I don't remember what the Norwegian... Is it Swedish? I think it's Swedish. I don't remember what the Swedish name of the film is. But Let the Right One In, right? Where they're all the people in the area, and this kid is bullied at school and everything, but he befriends a vampire, a kid vampire, and the kid vampire will not stand to let her friend, the human kid, get bullied anymore. That was pretty interesting too. So that's, again, really, other than the other, like the what do you call it? Other than the minion or whatever, the human who would drink her blood to live a lot more years than normal, but the human was not actually a vampire, but it's an adult guy, but he's old. Anyway, other than him, he showed up at the beginning with her. But beside him, the only other person that understood, knew what was going on, and knew about the mythical nature of things and stuff was this kid who became her friend, right? Didn't mean that other people in reality couldn't be hurt by the vampire girl, but he was the only one who really understood and knew about her, and she protected him, right? And so in this, you have the real human is the evil in this case, according to the animals, but you have these animals that are going to protect Anton. Anton is the only one who really understands and believes in and accepts whatever the mythical creatures and is friends with them, right? So there's kind of a similarity there as well. Paulina put her elbows on the desk. I'd already forgotten how light and graceful she was, just like a violin. I wish she could also jump around with us, after stripping away her mask of fake mundanity. I smiled, imagining Paulina's skirt flapping in the wind, the stars sparkling all around us, her asking in bewilderment whether it is all a dream, and myself telling her that it doesn't matter. Paulina's expression grew dark again.
Уже слышал про Катю?
Oh, have you heard about Katya?
Ужасно.
It's a tragedy.
Да.
Yeah.
Ужасно еще и то, что Катю мне жалеть сложно.
It's also tragic that I find it difficult to empathize with her.
Я правда ищу в себе сострадание, но вспоминаю ее поступки и...
I tried so hard, but then I remember all her nasty deeds and... Paulina shook her head.
Я чудовище, да?
I'm a monster, aren't I? No, I thought. You're one of the most beautiful girls I've ever met. But alas, you're only number 2 on that list. I decided not to say that out loud.
Плохо, наверное, что исчезновение анкеты расстроило меня больше, чем пропажа одноклассницы.
It's not okay that I felt worse when I lost my questionnaire than when she went missing. My nostrils picked up the smell of candy, tree resin, and fireworks.
Ты потеряла анкету?
You lost your questionnaire.
Да, И кто-то сейчас читает чужие секреты.
Yes, somebody out there is reading other people's secrets now. Yes, the forest, I thought, imagining the crooked branches turning notebook pages, touching the childish handwriting with their icy twigs.
Надеюсь, ее найдут.
I hope the search goes well. I was unsure whether she spoke about Katya or her notebook. I wanted to ask her about it, but then I noticed Paulina's intense stare directed at me.
Что?
Well, what?
Ты будто изменился.
You've changed. I smoothed my hair flat, surprised.
Просто не выспался.
I just didn't sleep well tonight.
Сегодня ты точно какая-то другая мелодия. Очень древняя, таинственная.
You're a different melody today. Some mysterious, ancient tune. I thought about the flute's melody streaming between the bushy treetops.
Надеюсь, ты никому не рассказал про наш вчерашний разговор.
I hope you haven't told anyone about our chat yesterday.
Что ты?
Of course not. She nodded as if acknowledging that she can fully trust me. I was unsure whether I merited such trust.
А может, погуляем после уроков?
Want to go for a walk after school?
Дедушка чувствует себя лучше. Я могу задержаться вечером.
Grandpa's been feeling better recently. I can return home a bit later. Her hair cascaded down her shoulders. The smell was so wonderful that it sent me flying toward the glowing stars of my inner cosmos without any magic.
Конечно.
Sure.
Только давай пойдем через запасной выход. Ну, тот возле спортзала.
But let's head out through the back exit. The one near the gym.
Прячешься от кого-то?
Hiding from someone. I shifted my gaze to the desk in front of me. My buddies left us alone, giving me an ample opportunity to betray them. Guilty conscience gripped my heart in its tiny jaws.
Так это из-за Ромки?
Is it because of Romka?
Не хочешь, чтобы он узнал?
You don't want him to know.
Ты ему нравишься.
He likes you.
Сложно не заметить.
It's hard not to notice.
Но парни всегда забывают о главном. Сначала надо спросить мнение девушки.
But you boys always forget the most important part. You need to ask the girl first.
А девушка говорит, после уроков у запасного выхода.
And the girl is saying, after school, near the back exit. I smiled, relieved. Guilty conscience returned to devour my heart the moment Romka came back and tossed a lingonberry bun my way, winking.
Ешь. Набирайся сил для нашего спектакля.
Eat up. You'll need a lot of energy for our little play. Yet I, the actor that was supposed to play the villain, didn't show up for that play. I left the school early, 20 minutes before the algebra class was supposed to end. I lied to the teacher about having a toothache. I hid behind the bushes near the school like some criminal. Paulina soon arrived.
Эй, я тут!
Hey, I'm here.
Ты б еще в сугроб зарылся.
If you want to hide so badly, why not dig yourself into a snow pile? I realized I was trying to play both sides here, secretly win Paulina over without losing Romka's support. I wonder what will happen if any of them find out about my scheme.
Пойдем скорее.
Come on, let's go.
Ну, пойдем.
Okay. We started walking along the school's football field. The sun was bright, but it did nothing to warm the frozen soil. The twilight hid in the thicket, anxiously waiting for the moment when it could come out and devour the village.
Я уже отвык от городского шума. Здесь всегда так тихо.
I've already forgotten the city's bustle. This place is so tranquil.
О, а я мечтаю о какофонии.
Oh, and I dream of that cacophony.
А чем?
What? My companion burst out laughing.
Какофония — это случайное сочетание звуков.
A cacophony is the chaotic mixture of sounds.
Дедушка учит находить мелодию во всем.
Grandpa always taught me to look for a melody in everything.
Он у тебя философ.
He sounds like a philosopher.
Краевед. Был раньше.
He's a local historian. At least, he used to be.
Он, наверное, классный.
Your grandpa sounds cool.
Не то слово. Скоро я вас познакомлю.
He truly is. I'll introduce you soon.
Ты меня в гости приглашаешь?
Are you inviting me to come over?
А ты против?
You don't want to?
Нет, конечно, нет.
No, of course I do. I kept sneaking glances at Polina. She was like a precious gem, its sides gleaming, shimmering, changing ever so slightly. What? Her eyes, full of innocent laughter, asked me. Nothing, I replied without speaking. Without speaking. Okay. I guess you did that. Something like that.
Ты смелый. Мне это нравится.
You're brave. I like that.
Смелый.
I'm brave.
Я до сих пор вспоминаю, как ты Бабурина осадил.
I still remember how you fought back with Baburin.
Пустяки.
It was nothing.
Знаешь, как для девочек важно, чтобы их защищали?
It's very important for girls to feel safe, you know.
Заступиться за тебя — честь.
It is an honor for me to protect you.
Вот, я же говорю.
See, I told
Ты
you.
изъясняешься словами из романов.
That expression was straight out of some novel.
Это честь для меня, моя госпожа.
It's an honor, milady. I fake pouted, but couldn't keep myself from smiling in the end. The village looked abandoned, desolate. Rickety fences, ravines full of garbage. This place probably looks nice in the summer since it's full of greenery, but during winter, under the icy crust, under the snowy blanket. I turned around from time to check if my good friends, who weren't good or friendly to me anymore, were following in my wake. Dogs barked and clanged their chains behind the fences, but they grew quiet the moment we reached the next house.
Представь, что это призраки цепями звенят.
Try imagining that ghosts are clanging with those chains.
О, а я обожаю сказки про призраков. Дедушка часто мне их рассказывает.
Oh, I love ghost stories. Grandpa tells them all the time. She stopped in front of a small but cozy-looking house with a snow-covered roof, then put her hand on the small gate. Her eyes piercing me as if trying to peek into the depths of my soul.
Вот я все вспоминаю дедушку. Говорю, какой он хороший, заботливый, умный.
You
Но
see,
это только половина правды.
I've always mentioned how good, caring, and smart my grandpa is, but it's only half of the truth.
Последнее время он немного...
Lately, he's been acting sort of... She paused, searching for the right words.
Чудной? Да, пожалуй.
Funny? Yeah, that's it.
Стал таким с годами. Так что ничему не удивляйся.
He became like that as he aged, so please try not to be surprised by him.
Так точно, ничему не удивляться.
Sir, yes, sir. No acting surprised.
Вольно!
At ease, soldier. We walked toward the house on a thin, cleaned path. Polina unlocked the door. The long hallway was full of shadows. The door slammed shut behind our backs, cutting us off from the roaring wind and all other outside sounds. The place became so quiet that I couldn't hear Polina's heart beating, or that I could hear Polina's heart beating. I wanted to cover it with my hand and feel it with my palm, with my lifelines. Lifeline, one of the most significant signs in the practice of palmistry, a divinatory art that interprets the distinctive features of each hand, such as lines and mounts, to obtain information about a person's destiny and personality. Palmistry gained wide popularity among Russian youths in the 1980s and 90s, influenced in part by the strong presence of the gypsy culture in the region, from which this art originated.
Ты всегда так застываешь?
Do you always freeze like
Как
these?
будто у тебя в голове стоп-кран нажали.
as if someone pulled an emergency brake in your head.
Фантазия рисует всякие картинки.
My imagination's running wild.
Понимаю.
I see. She took off her coat and hanged it on a wall hook.
Раздевайся, разувайся.
Come on, take your stuff off.
Я пока в комнате приберусь.
I'll go clean up the room in the meantime.
Дедушка, бывает, вещи свои оставляет, где попало.
Grandpa always forgets his things everywhere.
Я быстро.
I'll be quick. She floated away, light as a butterfly. Another butterfly, of a steel kind, had a real chance of floating inside my gut in the near future. I took off my coat, untied my shoelaces. A tiny squeak reached my ears. I don't get why adults hang something like this in their homes. Crooked, sharp outgrowths. I've read that animals don't get hurt when their horns that had already hardened get trimmed. Still, it's the same as plastering your wall with clipped fingernails. They are also cornified objects that were once part of a living organism. The reflections in this mirror are so sharp and deep, my great gaze drowns in it. Feels more like a doorway than a mirror, with an identical room with skies and sticky-to-the-touch wallpaper behind it. And the electric meter, which barely worked during the last month, as if Paulina and her grandpa spend their evening in complete darkness. And then... Oh. Huh? Is there something there, or is it just a factory defect twisting the doors inside the mirror? Phew, just a hunting trophy. Hoggers, you caught the hog. Okay, perfect. That's funny. Okay, let's see. What about this? If one were to stand in front of the phone, the wallpaper patterns would look like a set of watchful eyes. So this is the place Paulina called me from. She stood right here under the electric meter, among the shadows, twirling the phone cord. Maybe she even played with the light switch, turning lights off at times and speaking to me in the dark. Ooh. Guess my only choice is to open it. Okay. Open. Wow, there's so much junk here. Just like in a junk shop. Or like at the village cemetery dump, where people throw away plastic flowers, splinters from rotten crosses, and dirty stripes with gilded words of condolences. Why did I think Paulina's grandpa brought all of this from a cemetery dump? Those don't have toys, or a tambourine like in those books about northern shamans. And this, what was it called again? A dream catcher. I think it didn't catch any dreams, but it did catch a haymaker spider. And the stench? No wonder I can hear flies buzzing in this place even in the middle of winter. It smells like thawed lard and wet soil. I guess you just get used to it if you stay here long enough. A pair of tourist skis. Dad told me stories of how he would make his own skis and ski poles and even his own ski wax from beeswax, rosin, and pine resin. A good fit for the harsh winters around here, but these skis are in need of maintenance. The buildings are in very bad condition, and they have dark red spots on them, probably just rust. I know this painting. Paganini. The guy was so good at playing the violin that other people had decided that he had sold his soul to the devil. This portrait was drawn by Nikolai Fechin. He was a famous Russian painter that moved to America after the Revolution and became famous there too. Wow. Paganini has such long fingers. And such a piercing stare. What is he looking at? Maybe he did sell his soul after all. Would Polina sell hers? I wonder. Okay, I've clicked all of the eyeballs. I don't see any eyeballs left that I've not already examined, so. Okay, I guess it's mostly just wait now. Okay, let's. No, not yet. I'll wait for a minute. I looked into the deeper part of the house while taking off my boots. Semi-dark masked the corner at the end of the corridor. Something moved toward me, making the dry floorboards squeak. 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 The sound grew louder. I realized that I stepped back toward the door
Polina.
without thinking. Polina! A wheelchair appeared from around the corner. Stocky old man protruded from the darkness.
Ты, должно быть, одноклассник моей Полли.
You must be my Polya's classmate, right? Khariton is his name, I guess.
Да, Антон Петров.
Yes, my name is Anton Petrov. We shook hands. His grip was surprisingly firm.
Очень приятно. Очень.
Good to meet you. Very good.
А я Харитон. Греческое имя, значит, щедрый.
And I'm Khariton, a name of Greek origin. It means charitable.
А твое имя? Знаешь, что обозначает?
And do you know the name of your name? Do you know the meaning of your name?
Никогда не задумывался.
I've never thought about it.
От латинского «антео» — тот, кто вступает в бой.
It comes from Latin, anteo, someone who goes into battle. I chuckled in reply. Apparently my name has brave roots.
А Полина?
And Polina?
Полина французского происхождения.
Polina is a name of French origin.
Если не ошибаюсь, солнечная.
If I remember correctly, it means sunlight. Of course, the sunlight, the enchanting views of France, the Parisian sky, all of that sounded like Polina.
Вы так много знаете об именах.
You know a lot about names.
Я каждой своей кукле особенное имя давал.
I gave all my dolls unique names.
Кукле?
Dolls?
Полина не рассказывала? Я же кукловодом работал при театре.
Hasn't Polina told you? I used to work as a puppeteer in a theater.
Потом сторож с сигаретой тлеющей уснул, сам погиб, и театр сгорел до основания.
Then, one day, a night guard fell asleep while smoking there. He died and the theater burned down.
Куклы мои сгорели.
All my dolls burned down.
Жаль.
What a shame. I was pretty sure that Polina told me her grandpa was a local historian. He squinted.
А знаешь ли ты, Петров Антон, что в старину у людей два имени было? Настоящее и то, что они называли незнакомцем.
And have you heard, Anton Petrov, that people in the ages past used to have two names? Their true name and the one they shared with strangers.
Считалось, что подлинное имя, попав к нехорошим людям, могло обернуться против человека.
It was believed that if a person's true name ended up in the hands of bad people, it could spell disaster for its owner.
По имени насылали хвори и даже смерть.
Those names could be used to hex or even kill.
Ого.
Really?
Вот тебе и ого!
Yes, really.
И зверям имена придумывали не просто так.
And the names they gave to animals were also deliberate.
Заяц от литовского «зайсти», прыгун, то есть, а волк — старославянское «влек», тот, кто таскает.
Zayats comes from zaitsti in Lithuanian, a hopper. And folk comes from Old Slavonic, fleck, one who drags. Zayat's Carton explains the etymology of the word for bunny and wolf. So Zayats is bunny, Volk is wolf in Russian. The English translation uses transcribed version of these words to ensure the comparison to other languages in this line makes sense phonetically. Yeah, so Zayats, because it comes from Zayatsy in Lithuanian, and folk comes from Vlek. That's why they kept the original words here instead of wolf, or instead of bunny and wolf. Shooting. Carton drove closer and crossed his hands on his chest. I wondered to myself where Paulina's parents were. She never spoke about her mom, only about her grandpa. I decided to ask a question to continue the conversation. And what about the bear?
О имя медведя неизвестно.
Oh, the bear's name is still a mystery.
Наши предки так боялись этого зверя, что предпочли забыть слово, которым его величали.
Our ancestors were so afraid of that beast, they decided to forget the word they used to call it with.
Оно просто сгинуло из языка.
It just disappeared from their language.
Вместо него осталось более позднее прозвище — «Ведающий медом».
We were left with a much more recent interpretation, one who oversees the honey. One who oversees the honey, a pun based on the two syllables that make up the Russian word for bear, one of which means honey, while the other means to have knowledge of something, to oversee something.
Интересно.
Sounds interesting. The old man's smile became wider, revealing a stockade of metal implants. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save it here. And that's it, I think, for tonight. I'm getting tired, so we're going to go ahead and call it for now. About an hour and a half, not bad. Didn't cut it by too much. All right, so that'll do it for this stream. The next stream will be starting in like 12 and a half hours. I still haven't decided for sure what I'm going to be playing. I will tell you that tomorrow on the stream. It'll be continuing one of the ones from Halloween. So if you remember what we played on Halloween 2023, it'll be one of those. I don't know. I'll decide tomorrow what I'm in the mood for. Thanks for watching Fun Act Cosmic. Anybody else? I'll talk to you guys next time. Till then, take it easy. Peace.
Poor spider.
This freaking boy. Oh, that's so sad.